In this video, I'm going to be doing something I've done recently that you guys seem to really love and find a lot of value out of. And so I decided to do it again. And that's reacting to your music. I will be listening to your music, giving my live, honest to God reaction and thoughts and impressions on it. I'm going to be choosing 5 songs at random using my little wheel over here. And if you submitted a song and it did not make it on the list, it's because of one of 3 reasons. 1, the submission was too late. 2, you already won from the last video and I wanted to give everybody else a shot at it. Or 3, you shared like a private link. And what I want to do here is share public stuff. That way, this can also promote people's music that's already been released. And with that being said, I also want to encourage you guys to interact with each other in the comments section below, because you are all in the same position. You all are trying to learn and grow in your craft as rappers. And I think it's important for us to stick together and help each other out as much as possible. And so this is my attempt of doing that with you guys. But y'all continue it on. Continue helping each other out in the comment section. Check out each other's music. Give each other feedback. Maybe even collaborate with each other and work on songs together. And if you're new here, my name is ColeMize with ColeMizeStudios.com, where I strive to make you a better rapper now. And if you're someone who's wanting help with your song, whether it's coming up with a hook or just finalizing it, getting it to the finish line, that type of thing, make sure you check out my one-on-one coaching service, which I'll post a link to in the video description below, along with links to everybody's music that I'm going to be listening to today. Now, without further ado, let's get it. Okay, here's our first spin. Okay, Drugs Money. Awesome name. Let's check out Drugs Money's track and see what this person has sounded like.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it seems
There's no MC who could hope to see me. You could copy me, but not be me.
All right, real quick. That's interesting. That was a big jump between the intro and the part that came after. Let me just listen to that. Gut reaction, it was a little bit jarring, a little bit, like maybe a little bit too much of a jump. But let me play that back.
my troubles seem so far away. Now it seems
There's no MC who could hope to see me. You could copy me, but not be me. Just do you, boo, and you'll be true.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Initially, the vocal sample was prominent, obviously, because there's nothing else there. And then when the 808s come in, it seemed like such a shift in prominence, where it kind of felt like it took a back seat all of a sudden. So it almost sounded like a different instrumental or something. But anyways, this isn't all about audio production and stuff. I am someone who wears a lot of different hats, just so you all know. I'm not just someone who raps. I'm also a producer. I'm an engineer. I make beats. I do it all. So I kind of wear all these hats. And so you'll be getting a variety of feedback on your tracks, not just like rapping and flow and timing and stuff like that.
now it seems
There's no MC who could hope to see me. You could copy me, but not be me. Just do you, boo, and you'll be true. Don't just do what you think is cool. This beat's like a sun ray on a fun day, on a sunny day, on a Sunday. I hope that we can stop the violence. If you agree, then don't be silent. If you love your community, spread unity. There's no better time to take the opportunity. I really hit my limit.
All right, so real quick, one thing I like about what you're doing is I like the variety in your flow. So you're not staying stuck to like one cadence pattern. You know, you're keeping your these cadence schemes going for like even numbers. It feels nice and complete. The timing felt like it was dragging a little bit too far behind right here. Let me take it back just a little bit and play up into this point.
On a Sunday, I hope that we can stop the violence. If you agree, then don't be silent. If you love your community, spread unity. There's no better time to take the opportunity.
The opportunity, if you came in just a little bit early on opportunity and adjusted the cadence a little bit more, it would feel more in line where you were rhyming with the words before it, and that would make that cadence scheme and the rhyme scheme feel a little bit tighter. All right? But I'm loving the dynamics that you have going with your cadences. It feels fluid. It doesn't feel like you're like stuck in one spot. So far, so good with all that.
I really hit my limit when Takeoff died. So many feelings that we tried to hide. So put the gun down.
All right, let me take that back one more time. Listening for a similar thing with Takeoff died, tried to hide. rhyme scheme, cadence, placement.
Unity, spread unity. There's no better time to take the opportunity. I really hit my limit when Takeoff died. So many feelings that we tried to hide. So put the
That one was better. It still feel like it could be just a little bit tighter, but it wasn't as off as the last one I was talking about.
gun down before you run down. Some brother with the mother after sundown. Damn. Too many rappers get took out, so look out. Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout. Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout. Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout.
Right here, so the repetition right here with the cookout stuff, it changed a little bit right there, which kind of threw the groove off a little bit that you had going right here. Let me take it back.
Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout. Only good vibes when you...
Yeah, only good vibes. The vibes came in just like a little bit early right here.
Good vibes when you see me at the cookout. Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout.
Good.
Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout.
Too early. So I'm not sure if that's you rapping it live and you got just a little bit early, or if this is something that you cut, copied and pasted in your DAW. If that's the case, just be more careful with how you're copying and pasting. Make sure that you got your tempo and stuff selected in the DAW. If you're the one doing this stuff, I'm not sure, how much of these hats that you're wearing on your end. But that's something to listen out for and keep tight.
See me at the cookout. Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout. Only good vibes when you see me. There's no MC who could hope to see me. You could be careful.
So on that last phrase right here, when you say "see me," then it's like a pause, and then you're kind of like waiting for something to happen. Nothing wrong with that. But it feels like maybe something else could be there. It could be like an echo, maybe like a delay splash that you could add to the vocal or something just to kind of fill it in a little bit. Just to give you something else to listen to while you're waiting for something else to happen.
It took out, so look out. Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout. Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout. Only good vibes when you see me at the cookout. Only good vibes when you see me.
When you see me.
There's no MC who could hope to see me. You could be carefree in the breeze under palm trees. Picture that and try to have...
I like the late flow you got going right here, like your timing. That's very nice, very relaxed, chilling. Feels really nice.
Free in the breeze under palm. MC who could hope to see me.
And it reminds me of kind of an old school type of rap flow, which is really nice. Which also fits the vibe of the instrumental. Like this instrumental kind of gives me like, East Coast boom bap or like Kanye West, type of vibes.
There's no MC who could hope to see me.
Listen to y'all, listen to where he says me. Listen how far behind he is of the snare. That's a nice late swing. Listen to that.
There's no MC who could hope to see me.
Yeah, me lands after that snare. That's a nice little late swing. All right, let me keep playing.
There's no MC who could hope to see me. You could be carefree in the breeze under palm trees. Picture that and try to have a nice day. I don't kill time, I live time in a bright way. The right way, you might say. See now, this is exactly the type of message we need now. Well, here it is.
And so another thing you're doing here, the rhyme schemes are drifting a little bit later, but the way you did it there felt good. Like if that felt more intentional and it felt more musical the way you did it up until the very end. That's where it started feeling a little bit early to me or a little bit off. Let me take that back just a little bit.
And try to have a nice day. I don't kill time, I live time in a bright way.
So bright way was later than nice day. But it sounds cool though, because it still feels intentional. Like, okay, I'm intentionally doing this and you're placing it in a musical way later. Let's keep listening from here.
The right way, you might say. See now, this is exactly the type of message we need now.
Yeah, the see now, that part could use a little bit of tweaking. It felt like you had to rush the words a little bit to kind of get things placed a little bit there. So it wouldn't take much at all to like polish that up. It's like you had everything's there, like word wise. It's not like you need to change the words. It's just a slight timing adjustment that needs to be made there just to make it fit just a little bit better. So like when it comes to timing stuff, there's a few ways that I make lyrics fit the beat like perfectly. And I kind of do things in a certain order from least destructive and then most destructive last. And so the first thing that I always do when I'm getting lyrics to fit that beat a little bit better is I just adjust the timing of, let's say, like a pause. Like if I have a pause somewhere, I may lessen the length of that pause, and that creates more space for me to bring those words in a little bit earlier. Or maybe a sustain of a syllable, where I may hold a word or a syllable a certain length. I may be able to cut that a little bit shorter to make more space for the other words that I'm trying to say. That way I don't have to say them as fast. You know, it gives me a little bit more room to enunciate things and things of that nature. But least destructive, and then the most destructive is when I have to reword something, change the wording of the phrase I'm using. I usually do that last because I'm trying to preserve the message as much as possible. So I start with timing, shaving words, that type of stuff, reducing pauses, and then changing the verbiage of what I'm saying. But that's what's going on there. That could be just polished up just a little bit.
Here it is, don't fall for deceiving appearances, it's uncalled for. I sing this every day with an open sunroof. Come meet me at the pool and bring the sunproof.
I enjoyed the vocal itself. I thought was recorded pretty well. The quality of the vocal was really nice. Really nice message. I enjoyed the message. You see me smiling when you was talking about the good vibes and the cookouts and stuff like that. That's the number one goal when we're creating anything, is we want to express some type of emotions. Motion is movement. Like we want to move people in a certain type of way. And that did move me. I enjoyed it. And it's not far off from, like, you know, it just needs a little bit of polish here and there, tighten up cadence and rhyme schemes a little bit. That's the main thing. I enjoyed your delivery as well. I thought the tone and stuff matched the vibe of the track. And overall, I think that's a really good job. So just keep that stuff in mind as you can continue to work on the next song. All right, now let's spin the wheel again and see who's up next. Okay, Don Forte 313. Let's get it.
Doesn't even matter if it's wrong or right. Bet on me, yeah.
A little funk,
Bet
R&B.
on me, bet on me. I know I had my turn, more paper just to burn, as the world often turns.
All right, real quick, from a mixing perspective, the vocal feels a little bit too far in the back. Let me compare the vocal that came in earlier. I don't know if this is an instrumental where, like it's an instrumental that was released that had a vocal already on it, but to me, they feel a little bit too different, mainly in volume, to where they feel like they disconnect a little bit. Let me take that back, just to double check.
Bet on me.
This vocal right here. Yeah. It's more present, it's more in the front. And then when you come in, you're further back.
Yeah, bet on me, bet on me. I know I had my turn, more paper just to burn, as the world often turns, half empty, half full. Guess I'm a pessimist, try my whole life to get next to this. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, from the slums of the poor and dangerous. You know the game is moving shites, so you can lose your life. From a roll of dice with sacrifice, there's a wrong spin, it's a game of life. It was time to go, half the price bill was twice the deal. Twice the fake, but then twice the real. How you feel when it goes back? I suppose that's real talk, that's closed cap. Doesn't even matter.
Okay, that was pretty cool. One thing I noticed, really nice flow. Really enjoyed the flow. The rhyme scheme structure was a little bit odd, but I still think you pulled it off quite well. They were like odd kind of rhyme schemes, but I think you did well with still how you structured it and how you transitioned into new rhyme schemes. And I think the way that you were doing that was, if you broke a rhyme scheme that was like an odd number, let's say, like in music, just for anyone watching, in music, we typically do things in even numbers, and that's what makes them feel complete. So like 2, 4, 6, 8, that type of thing. And so like if you do like a rhyme scheme, let's say there's like 3 bars, and then you change it, it'll feel odd a lot of times. And that's not to say you should not do that. I did a video on J. Cole not too long ago where I was quote unquote fixing his verse. The main point of that is to show you that there's no right or wrong way to do anything. J. Cole is a lead in what he does. All that stuff was intentional on his part. But I was doing that video to show you the difference in how it sounds and how it feels. Not that one is right and one is wrong, but they're different and they feel different. And that's the most important thing. So there's some of that going on here. Let me take it back a little bit and I'm gonna stop it on the parts that I'm talking about. One more thing I want to add to that for what I'm saying. Sometimes things can sound off because going back to fours, the music itself a lot of times is structured in fours. So for example, every 4 bars, oftentimes something changes in the instrumental. Not always, but oftentimes it does. The next time you listen to one of your favorite rap songs or whatever, just count 4 bars from the very beginning of the song. Just count 4 bars and just pay attention to see what happens after that. And usually something is happening on that 4th bar or it happens on the next new 4-bar section after that 4 bars. And so when we're creating changes and movement and stuff like that, if we're not following in line with our changes with those 4-bar sections, let's say for an example, we change our pattern on the 3rd bar and then we keep that going for X amount of bars, it gets out of sync with the steps and stuff that the music is taking, if that makes sense. But let's take it back a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of point that out a little bit more.
I know I had my turn, more paper just to burn. As the
We got turn and burn, right?
world often turns, half empty, half full.
Full, that's the odd part. That's the fourth bar in that rhyme scheme, and he changed it right there. So that's what I was talking about. And that happens, it can have a domino effect. Like if it's intentional, it's okay. If it's not intentional, be more mindful of how your bars are structured. Because a lot of people where they get thrown off is when they're writing their lyrics on page. It's all kind of like this one block of lyrics, and it's not structured musically. And so typically the way that I structure lyrics is like every line on my page or whatever I'm using to write, what's at the beginning of each line is actually what lands on the very beginning of each bar. So let's say, for an example, I don't say anything on the first beat of a bar. Well, I'll notate it like with a pause. Or sometimes a word will drag over. Like let's say it's like a multi-syllable word and it drags over from the end of one bar, and like maybe I land that last syllable on the first beat of the next bar. That's literally how I'll structure it on my lyrics. And I'll also notate where I take pauses. So I won't forget. And then I also put I hit enter, like every 4 bars I hit enter to give me a visual break. So I can easily count my 4-bar sections, 4, 8, 12, 16. And that demystifies all this stuff I'm talking about. And it makes it a lot easier to track how your rhyme schemes are structured. Because if you don't do that, then you're having to just rely on your ears, which you should rely on your ears. That's like most important. But this can help if you're struggling to keep track of all this stuff I'm talking about. So if you get a chance, check out some of my other videos where I do breakdowns on people's, I've done quite a few videos on this where I break down people's rhyme schemes and patterns and stuff of that nature. And you will see exactly what I'm talking about these even numbers and where they transition into new rhyme scheme patterns and stuff like that. I'm going to fast forward a little bit back towards the end of this verse.
How you feel when it goes back? I suppose that's real talk, that's closed cap.
And then right there, after you say close cap, that'd be cool to add like a little delay or something to kind of fill that space in a little bit. That's kind of more of a mixing thing, though.
Talk, that's closed cap.
Close cap, that's close cap.
Doesn't even matter.
Kind of carries it over into the hook.
Bet on me. Bet on me.
I love the vibe of this track.
Yeah.
Smooth, man.
Bet on me. Bet on me. Doesn't even matter if it's wrong or right. Bet on me. Yeah. Bet on me. Yeah. Yeah. Bet on me. I know I had my turn. Money just to let it burn. Tough lesson had to learn. Watch it all go down in flames. That's that poker face. That was Molly's game. It was all the same when that cobra strikes. But then your luck gone like magic. Gambler man to that fabric. Then that snake eyes and you mac up like Maverick. There you have it. Doesn't even matter if it's wrong or right. Bet on me. Bet on
And still again, the volume of the lead vocal is still raising its hand to me. It's just not allowing it to be as present, which is causing the lyrics not to hit as hard as they would had they been a little bit more forward in the mix.
on me, yeah, yeah. Bet on me.
And on that last verse, there was still some of that rhyme scheme stuff I'm talking about, but it wasn't as much on that second verse. Very well done. Flow is really good too. No issues with flow or any of that stuff. And I'm really loving the density of your rhymes. Yeah, it sounds like it's just riding out. Let me just skip around a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty much that one. So hopefully that helps you out, Don. But really good, man. Like, yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff happening. That's a really small thing, and just pay attention to that. Like I said, just check out some of my videos that I've done on like rap breakdowns of rappers and stuff. I've done Missy Elliott, I've done Tech Nine, I've done Biggie, I've done Little Dirk, Nas, Cal Scrooby. I have a playlist. If I'll post a playlist in the video description of the rap breakdowns and stuff that I've done, and check out some of that stuff. All right. But good job, bro. Thank you so much for sharing your track. And let's move on to the next one. Number 3. Let's see who it's going to be. That One Pissed Off Boomer. I love that name too. Let's check it out. Okay, and it looks like with this one, One Pissed Off Boomer is doing almost like a cover, if you will, like a kind of like a remix of like rapping over this Wu-Tang track, but adding his own lyrics to it. So let's check it out and see how it sounded.
What y'all thought y'all wasn't gonna hear anything from Tragic, #1 assassin MC in 2023? You must be smoking PCP. Just a room. 'Cause if you don't think you hear from me, you living on the moon. I'm bomb atomically, slaughtering quantities of hostile beings. Y'all are just awesome dreams. I'm the nightmare, no light can stop the king. Check.
So one thing, another mixing thing, is the vocals a little bit too far in the back. They're kind of getting overpowered. I can hear it, but it's getting completely buried on some words with the instrumental. So those vocals just need to be a little bit louder so they can really shine and really be in your face so they can really make the maximum impact. But the flow is sounding really good. Let me keep playing from here.
And you in death state, honestly, that's your best philosophy. Just to die, not to read you playing the lottery to insult the king. Hear with colossal screams.
And another thing too, with the effect that's on the vocal, it almost has like a chorus kind of effect, or where there's some pitch. There's multiple pitches on the voice to make it kind of feel like a chorus type of effect, it sounds like. And so that can kind of take away some of the clarity as well. So it kind of works against it being a little bit lower in volume. And so it just overall just needs to be a little bit more clear, a little bit more present in your face, so those words really pop through. But so far the flow is feeling good. Rhymes are feeling good. Let's keep playing.
Out watching you with all your queen. You're up against God's machines. It's a psychopathy. Toppled by a prodigy. I'm a Molotov, but you can't bottle me. Should've just kept me in the motherfucking bottlery.
And so earlier, like I've been talking about rhyme schemes drifting, a lot of that's going on here. And this is actually this is how Wu-Tang, a lot of the members in Wu-Tang would rap. Like a lot of stuff would be a lot more rugged, like rough. Like ODB was known for rapping his verse like different ways almost every time, likely because he may have not actually ever fully like structured it musically, so he kind of did it on the spot and kind of made it work. But Wu-Tang, that's like one way I would describe their sound. Is meant to sound a little bit raw, not as polished or whatever, a little bit raw and not as pretty, if you will. But the way the rhymes are drifting, it works. Like it's drifting like still like in a musical way. And if I could define, like you may wonder, well, what makes something musical? What makes something musical is division, like the placement of things, like how far are they away from each other? So for example, let's say you rhyme on the 4th beat, right? You place a rhyme on the 4th beat, then you place a rhyme on the 1st beat of the next bar. That's like a musical measurement of changing the distance. And so that's what makes it musical. Now we know there's also more places within a beat that you can place things as well. And that's what I mean by division. You could place it within a 16th note on the next bar, and then do it in another place and place it within that same 16th note, but on a different beat. It's all about measurement and division and stuff. And that's what helps things sound musical. So hopefully that helps you understand. So just like how we put things on beat, 4 beats is a way that we divide a bar into 4 even sections. So that's what I mean by musical. It's done in a musical or a a structured way musically is the way that you're measuring things out and where you're placing them. Even though they don't line up in the same exact place per bar, you're still placing them in a musical way wherever you place them at. All right, so it's like you're not placing them somewhere and it's like offbeat or it doesn't line up with the groove that you created with your rap flow, your cadences and stuff like that. But hopefully that makes sense. Let's keep listening.
I hit you like the bomb in Nagasaki, see, not kamikaze, but the bombing was dropped for me. And you can't talk with me. If the world turns,
And I'm not sure why the vocals cut off right there. I can't remember exactly if it does that in the original song or not, but that raised its head to me a little bit where I was like, like what happened? Like I would add an effect or something there. If it's meant to be that way, I would add some type of an effect or something to kind of carry it, You've probably been picking up on that on a few of the tracks I've been listening to. Like whenever there's a pause, you don't always have to put something in the pause, but in that case, it kind of felt like an edit or something like it didn't seem like meaningful, like I felt like something happened wrong or something. And so by adding something there, it can make it feel more intentional, if you will.
psychopathy, toppled by a prodigy. I'm a Molotov, but you can't bottle me. Should've just kept me in the motherfucking bottlery. Before I hit you like the bomb in Nagasaki, see, not kamikaze, but the bombing was dropped for me.
Love the flow, bro. The timing is just so nice. I love it. Got this nice little late swing to it, man. Great job on that flow, bro.
And you can't talk with me. If the world turns, I spread like germs. Message to serve. The rhetoric burns like the devil. Veterans burn in this return of which I yearn. Return of the thirst to learn, like the Jedi. Bitter kind, take me back to simpler times where I was hell bent to shine. Each mountain sight within a bitch of mind is a pipe for this sin of mine. This middle line, my mind is cloudy. The symbol shine, the lines are loudly displaying hope. The bad guy making so explosive. Student bounce me. I twist stars and spark hearts. Got more energy built up than the dark arts. Forget the heart, this is the part where that dirty sound hit you like 230 rounds. Can't dodge, won't miss. Gotta show kids a fucking cold kids. Hope is explosion, once it opens and explodes. You won't live, sense of boldness is rarely noticed in the world of Me Too. There's no better roses. I'm an orchid, steady focus on a magnum opus. I hate these dudes, already know this. We need revival, a recital of what is.
Now the words are going to come in through a little bit more. I was just thinking, like, it's a shame the vocals aren't more in your face, so you can't hear all the words clear. Now the instrumental, some of the instruments just dropped off, so there's less competition with the vocal. So now the vocal's going to come through a little bit more for this part right here.
Time to pull out my bloody Bible. They took a bullet through. Cooler dudes full of proof. So many failed to know this too.
I'll give y'all another little tip. If you're mixing your own stuff, listen to the snare. All right, listen to the snare. Your vocals should be pretty close to the same loudness as the snare. All right, the snare is like one of the more loudest sounding parts of the instrumental. And a lot of times that's kind of how you can kind of gauge if your vocal levels are right. Listen to the snare, listen to your voice and see if they're somewhat close to each other. You don't have to be always exactly as loud as the snare. You can be a little bit under it, but be in close proximity to it. Don't let the snare be like way up there and you're way down here. That's a sign that the vocals aren't mixed correctly and they need to be a little bit louder.
My bloody Bible, they took a bullet through. Cooler dudes full of proof. So many failed to know this too. The saga continues. Tragic in its triumph. Olympic torch flaming, victory thrills, and the victor's name is Sis. Only kills the car race. Scarface, heavily armed.
I'm hearing like some little pops or something like that, so I'm not sure what mic this was recording on. I don't know if it was recorded on a phone. It's kind of hard to tell with all the effects that are on the vocals. You can't really hear, how well it was recorded, like quality-wise, because it's kind of smeared, if you will. But it sounded like something was hitting the mic when you was recorded. So I don't know if you was recording on the phone or whatever, but just be careful of that whenever you record and make sure you're not tapping that mic.
Weaponry born is full of guns, devils alarm, plus missiles and C4. Time to take a detour to the seashore.
Love that flow.
Glass is real. the rest on the islands.
And them pauses.
March of the wooden
Fill
soul.
those pauses in with something.
Once it's hopeless, trying to focus, also vulgar, grab my motor, chopping up fucking poses like dope on a coaster. Foolish men rush and counter, big sharks, you crush and flounder, they got the downward like quarter pounders, mortar rounds burst, and force, the fucking 40 drown first. Fucking remorseless scoundrels, the will of the force of the council, once was hypothetical, inevitable, war is now real, force the scalpel, flat out, cut the foul out with power tools, this war is not a place of coward rules. War with the masses, quick 40 lashes to the evil traitors who try to help the captives. Those granting mercy, but it's attractive. Relax on the attack, it's all a rap. So many died, you couldn't pick a side. They let your false pride make you lose your lives. The track shifts nakedness out, just focus on its energy. The speed is the sun, life's essence, encompassed by its love. All these questions, and we all just shrug. Will we ever know all the answers? Or should we just study the old sages? Yo, fuck that. Look at all these weak faggots on crack. This ain't a street fight, it's Mortal Kombat. Tiger Rubber, y'all dog cats are on track to feel the bomb blast like Iraqis. Rest with explosives, no question the motive. Or live left in the ocean, stepping the chosen, testing opponents, stepping the rodents, make a mess of the rodents. You ain't impressive with no shit, destined to blow dicks. Fucking faggot, magnet, the homos pick. Yeah, I'm oh so sick, like a plague. You just a COVID trick. Yeah, that's amazing. Talking people chilled. I killed. I suggest you need to yield for your haters to seek to fill the cold chill of their needle still. My evil will like a genie skill. Welcome to the rodeo. My Pinocchio manipulate your sister's face. Go below.
Spit it, bro.
Like a Titanic rose. In other words, my motorboat sucks me forward to an open throat. To overdose, coming comatose. Got the skill to go toe.
It just cuts off like abruptly at the very end. I don't know if that was like a time limitation or something on this particular app that I'm playing it on, Rap Fame. But yeah, that's another thing, like abruptly cutting off like that. That raises his hand to me a little bit. Like, hey, what happened? You was like mid-sentence rapping and it got cut off. But bro, the rap flow, the freaking rhyme schemes, I was loving. You see my face, that stink face, like, ooh, like that's good. Like I want to hear them vocals more. And the effect thing, I think, can be, I'm not sure if it's a part of your brand, like with your name being, was it like One Pissed Off Boomer? It kind of reminded me of, that vocal effect they use on Anonymous, like the hacker group Anonymous. That could be cool to kind of keep some type of effect, like hiding your identity and like going off on people and stuff like that. And so that's cool. Like, I'm not against that effect. I just want to hear you more. Like, I want to hear more volume on your vocals and stuff like that. And so that's the main thing. But I love the flow, the freaking rhyme schemes and everything. I was catching some of the punchlines and stuff, but unfortunately, a lot of the lyrics was getting buried and they wasn't hitting as hard as I know they are hitting, just because the way that it is in the mix. So hopefully that gives you some good things to think about on your next time working on a song. But great job, bro. Keep it up, man. Now let's see who number 4 is going to be. Okay, it looks like it's going to be... Ooh. Whoa. The real Agoni. I may be butchering your name. That was close. I thought Pat was getting it there. I just realized it's Agony, I believe. The real Agony. Agoni. Agony. Charge it to my head and not my heart.
I've fallen from grace at a steady fast pace. I've fallen from my space and lost my place to evil eye gravity.
So one thing I already really like is how he's produced his vocals. So listen for the spot stacks he's doing. He's using spot stacks on certain rhymes, and that allows the rhymes to kind of poke out at you and almost be like 3D, to where those words feel like a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, and it allows them to kind of say, hey, look at me. And a lot of times we place our rhymes on snares. Snares are one of the more loudest sounding parts of the instrumental. And so when we add a little something extra on our rhymes, whether it's like in our delivery, where we add a little bit more emphasis, a little bit more energy on those words, or also in this case where we do spot stacks on those words, it allows them to kind of pop out and kind of keep that same energy with the snares, if you will. Snares are rising in energy in the instrumental, and so are we. Check that out right here.
I've fallen from my space and lost my place.
Like on Lost My Place.
I've fallen from my space and lost my place. To evil I gravitate, demons quick to educate, angels screaming stay away.
Now right there, it sounded like something bumped the microphone or something right there. Let me just play this back a little bit.
Gravitate, demons quick to educate.
Around the word educate, I hear like a little bump or something.
I gravitate, demons quick to educate, angels screaming stay away.
So yeah, I'm not sure if that's bumping the microphone. If not, if it is, just be careful when recording. You know, don't accidentally hit the microphone stand or the mic itself, because it can really come out. And sometimes it's not as noticeable until you put on headphones, but it creates like this boom type of sound, and you'll really hear it on subs. So if you have any subs, or if like you're in a club and you play it, you'll really hear it then. Like it's not a good thing. So just be on the lookout for that.
I can only look away, wishing I would learn and avoid temptation, visions of my urn and avoid a salvation. Just left God waiting, I never renovated, just kept on waiting through unsanitation. So filthy, hate feeling good, killing, God willing, like.
Yeah, I keep hearing little bumps. I'm not sure. It sounds like it's happening on the mic. That's the sound it's making. It could be something in the instrumental too. It could be something weird going on in the instrumental where it's creating that sound or whatever. I'm not sure. But I mean, also, I'm really loving the flow, the rhyme scheme placement, all that stuff is sounding really good. Keep playing here.
It's instilling, I need a faith healing from Satan's soul.
Now right here, actually, let me take it back just a little bit. Right here, the vocal is feeling a little bit high in tone. Maybe a little bit too high.
So filthy, hate feeling good, killing, God willing, like it's instilling, I need a faith.
Like on the I just feel like a little bit too high.
So filthy, hate feeling good, killing, God willing, like it's instilling, I need a faith healing from Satan's soul stealing. My flesh is revealing, I'm flawed, I'm wicked, I call the crickets. God heard my cries, but he knows my intentions. Offers wings to fly for true repentance, helping me to rise, then I go back astray. Yet he keeps me alive, man, like I'm his strength. I'm a fallen angel.
Yeah, at times the vocal feels a little bit high in tone, and I know why you're doing it, because you're trying to add like more emotion to it, a little more energy and stuff like that, which is cool. But it may be pushing it maybe a little bit too far. And it's a tricky thing that we have to kind of play around with when we're recording our vocals. Like, you want the energy, you want to have those dynamics and those jumps in energy and stuff like that. But the thing is, if you put too much strain on your voice, it starts feeling small. So typically when you want more energy, you want something to feel bigger. So if you strain the voice too much, that actually makes the voice actually sound and feel smaller. And so like right now, as I'm speaking to you, you hear like a lot of the lower tones in my voice and stuff. I'm not projecting my voice a lot at all. So you're starting to hear hearing that chest type of sound. But the more I squeeze my voice, and then it's going away right now, you hear it's not as really much of that chest voice, and it feels a little bit thinner, and then I relax and whoa, it's sounding bigger now. And so the key is trying to preserve the lower tone stuff while adding energy without losing it. Like, I've worked with a lot of different types of artists, and like some artists have like really deep voices. You know, yeah, let's work on this track. You know what I'm saying? And it's like deep and like dark and like big and kind of boomy sounding. And with those guys, I'm trying to get a little bit more clarity out of the voice, like a little bit more of the high end stuff, because it's so low, you know, on that side. And on your end, sometimes it leans a little bit too high, and we want to try to preserve some of that and keep some of that chest voice and stuff in there. So something to be mindful of, you know, try to get more energy and stuff out of the voice without squeezing as much on the vocal. And I've made several videos about this before. Just make sure, like, when you're recording, you can hear yourself well. You're not trying to rap too loud or anything like that to hear yourself in the headphones. And then apart from that, play around with relaxing the voice more while adding energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can talk to you right now, and I got that energy into what I'm saying to you, but I'm not squeezing my voice too much. But I can make it feel more emotional when I want it to, without squeezing my voice like this. So hopefully that helps. Let's keep playing.
I feel like a stranger.
Now that little bump thing I'm talking about, I'm hearing it in the hook. These obviously aren't your vocals on the hook, so it makes me think that there's something happening in the instrumental.
I want to be faithful.
Yeah, I heard it right there around I want to be faithful.
To be faithful. Not a falling man.
Yeah, I heard it right there after falling as well.
Not a falling man.
Yeah, it's like a I don't know what that is. I think it must be something in the instrumental. So that's raising its hand to me a little bit. And it could just be, it just, it could be because I'm used to recording. And so I listen for a little sound. Like it's very reminiscent of a mic bump sound or something. And maybe I'm just a little bit biased because of that. And I would probably want to remove it just for that reason. But anyways, let's keep listening.
Fallen angel.
We're all devilish. We're all little Lucifers.
Yeah, and in the beginning of this, again, like very high sounding. That raises his hand to me a little bit. I want to bring a little bit more of that lower tone. I won't belabor that point because I've already talked about it from verse 1. But yeah, let's keep listening.
All selfish, it's easily observed. I'm gluttonous, my sins are deadly. Death, I'm not ready. I'm dreading losing my breath in any setting. Breath keeps exhaling, plans keep on failing. No smooth sailing here on God's creation. I don't go to church, I don't need you offering. They just want me to increase their offering. I gave my soul and it's more valuable than any green paper thrown inside a bowl. And isn't it ironic that these holy people think they're iconic, but they're just assholes. Going out to eat, showing no gratuity, looking to recruit, taking any.
All right, right here, the word recruit. So this is like a little pet peeve of mine. So I want to make sure I point this out to you. But so part of our job as rappers is making our words and stuff fit to the instrumental and make it match like a cadence pattern, or we're trying to place our rhymes in a certain place. There's a lot of different things that we're trying to accomplish with our lyrics and our rap flow and stuff like this. And one thing that raises its hand to me is when we push things a little bit too far in a certain direction where the word doesn't feel natural anymore. And so there's a threshold to doing that. Like we're always manipulating words. Like instead of saying the word making, it's so common for us to shave the G off of words that have G's, like making, faking, and saying making, faking, forsaken. It just rolls off a lot easier. It takes up less space, and it's just a lot more easier to say and a lot more smooth. So that's an example of like manipulating a word, but not manipulating that word too much. And this part, the word is emphasized, it has too much stress on it. So typically words will have like, if it's like 2 syllables, one of those syllables will be stressed, one of them will be unstressed. The unstressed is what we don't hold very long. The stress is what we hold very long. Let's listen to this real quick and I'll point out what I'm talking about.
Looking to recruit, taking any.
Recruit. So normally we would say recruit. So the ruh is what we don't stress. Crute is what we do stress. Recruit. And because of that, this doesn't feel natural. It feels a little bit unnatural because it's being forced a little bit too much. And I know the reason why you're doing it, because you're trying to place things in the bar to place your rhyme where you want it to be. What I would do in a situation like this is I would probably maybe add a syllable, maybe I add a pause. I would do something because right now you're trying to fill in space when you're doing this. So and the way you're doing it is by sustaining something that normally would not be sustained if you were saying it naturally. So I would add like a pause, or maybe I stress something else that is naturally stressed on a word before it to kind of push this back a little bit or whatever. But yeah, something to listen out for. You're not doing this a lot, not a super big deal. Newer rappers do this a lot. And I think that's why it's a pet peeve of mine, because it's one of those like really beginner things that rappers do. To me, you don't sound like a beginner rapper on this track, but yeah, that's something that I would tweak. And again, it's a little pet peeve of mine, so not a super big deal, but wanted to point it out to you. Let's go.
Opportunity, trying to reserve a spot in the Golden Gates, an absurd mistake. Man, heaven doesn't run hate.
I'm a fallen angel.
Really good message in this song too, man.
I feel like a stranger.
Beautiful hook too.
I want to be faithful.
Hollywood, check him out.
Not a fallen angel.
Looking sharp.
God diving, God sighing, I'm lying, he's crying. Raindrops on rooftops, paint stops and lift off, but I'm still riding, so I keep on riding. I keep on surviving, demons I'm fighting, reaching for my sword to where I saw a horde.
All right, right here, this is another thing where the stress thing I'm talking about. The words, it's either stress or you're manipulating the way the word is said to make it rhyme more. But this is kind of raising his hand to me, like these words wasn't very clear to me what was being said right here. These or sounds right here.
I keep on surviving, demons I'm fighting, reaching for my sword to where I saw a horde.
Yeah, that. I don't know what the words or the lyrics are there, but it's kind of smeared and stuff like that. So it sounds like something's like being pushed a little bit too much as far as the emphasis and stuff. And that kind of piggybacks off of what I was just saying earlier, that that we manipulate words all the time to make it do what we want it to do, right? And it's just that threshold when we take it a little bit too far, and now it's like losing clarity. It's starting to sound a little bit weird or whatever. And this part sounds a little bit weird to me right here. All these, I think it could be also because it's a lot of vowel sounds like hitting each other back to back to back vowel, and it's like no separation between the two. So they kind of all are just kind of smearing together. There's really no clarity in the middle of them, if that makes sense. So it's all kind of sound like one word, if you will, which we do in the South, but there's usually things that break them apart. Like instead of saying, do you know what I am talking about? We'll say, you know what I'm talking about? So there's a little bit of that going on here. So just pay attention to that and just be mindful of that we're not pushing things too much to where they no longer start sounding natural or are clear. So yeah, let's keep playing.
I'm lusting over whores and always wanting more. Curves, ass and hips, sexy stomach, nice tits. Seduction is a bitch, how can he forgive? I think about money, Lord, help me with greed. I dream about sex and view it as a need. Never
one interesting thing I found out, I just noticed here was, it sounded like you missed a word on the lead vocal. You said it on the background vocal. And so it's like like the lead vocal falls away and then the background vocal says the word that you missed. And typically if you do that, you want to like bring that to the lead vocal. Like you can cut that off and like bring it up to the lead vocal track so it's prominent. Let's listen to that.
It's a bitch, how can he forgive? I think about money, Lord, help me with greed. I dream about
on the word I, after greed, I. Listen for that.
With greed, I dream about sex.
You hear that? Greed, I.
Money, Lord, help me with greed. I dream about sex and view it as a need. Never reading scriptures, checking out a chick and she's visually getting strip searched. Steady searching the earth for my female half to increase my self-worth. Man, I'm not worthy, my life should be forfeit. We all should be punished, we're all evil culprits. Lord, forgive us.
And I would say towards the end of that third verse, the rap flow was starting to feel a little bit repetitive to me. Like I was wanting to hear maybe the rap flow change up a little bit. And that's just by the gut. You may have been doing something similar. Maybe it was something similar within that verse. Maybe it was in another verse I've already heard, but it felt like a little bit too repetitive. And I just wanted to hear a little bit more of something happening with the cadences to kind of give it more diversity, more dynamic, so it wouldn't be as predictable. But I think we're going into the final hook here. Let's check that out. And then we'll wrap up with some final thoughts on this one.
Fallen angel, I feel like a stranger.
Love this hook, man.
I want to be faithful, not a fallen angel. I'm a fallen angel.
Yeah, so we're riding out at this point.
I feel like a stranger.
One thing I like about this song a lot is it's very authentic. Like there's a lot of artists that cap a lot. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who they're just not authentic on the track, and it's obvious. Like people, there's a lot of rappers obviously who try to act way more gangster than they really are. And then there's ones who really are gangster and they shouldn't be talking about it on the track. There's that aspect of it. But like on the spiritual side of things, there's some people who try to act perfect. Like they don't do anything wrong. They never done anything wrong. They don't struggle with anything. It's not really that relatable to most people because most of us, if we're being real and honest, we all have struggles. We all have difficulties, and that's the human condition. That's reality, bro. And like when you're real, That's going to make your stuff way more relatable, way more relatable. And I love that he's talking about spiritual stuff, but he's still keeping it real and authentic at the same time, like, and being transparent. And that to me gives this track a lot of soul, a lot of heart, a lot of authenticity. So really good job, Agony. So keep it up, bro. And let's move on to the fifth and final track. So I had an issue in my recording when I was doing the little wheel spin thing. So unfortunately didn't capture that, but the next person is Firecracker. So let's check out Firecracker. Again, y'all are tripping me out with these names. That's a funny name. Let's check it out and let's see what Firecracker's talking about.
Noah Gracie.
Another kind of emotional, intimate sounding track.
A deep and ancient knowledge embedded within these brilliant green beings.
This race is getting hot.
Now, something kind of funny happened with the instrumental right there, like it glitched out or something. Let me see.
Within these brilliant green beings.
Did you hear that dum 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 dum? The way it cuts.
Embedded within these brilliant green beings.
Yeah, I think that's just an instrumental because I can hear the tag or whatever of whoever produced it. So may just be an instrumental thing, but that kind of threw me off a little bit. Anyway.
This race is getting hot. It has my haters casting me shade. So upset that I crept up, they forgetting I'm ordained. Able to change the game just by raising Cain. You are not the same, merely a mortal human stuck playing in an alien game with an inner.
So I can already tell that the rhymes sound good. The lyrics themselves are feeling good. The musicality is lacking. I can already tell. It's the way that it's structured. It's feeling like there's too many words in there that are trying to be crammed in there to try to get the rhymes to land where you want them. So it doesn't sound like it's a rhythm problem. It sounds more like it's a musicality issue or a problem-solving issue. So let me break it down like this real quick. The way that I teach rapping, I teach it in what I call the 5 pillars of rapping. So the 5 pillars go like this. It's in a specific order because one pillar is needed to be in order for the next pillar to work properly. So the first pillar is rhythm, which is your ability to hear beats, establish body movement, understand some basic music theory stuff. It sounds like you have that. The second pillar is scatting, it's cadences, it's the musician. It's like learning to play the instrument that is you. So it's learning all your little dance moves that we use to dance around the track with our words. So like learning like little triplet patterns, like dip it dip it pap, dip it dip blap, dip it pap, or like learning 30-second notes, like dipping in and out of them, like be do but the breep on, but the keep it the pack, but tap pop, but the beat, but the tip it top of your pap, like just learning lots of different little musical patterns that give us so much more diversity to move around on any bar so many different ways. It just makes us way more flexible and less boxed in. Pillar number 3 is the engineering part of being a rapper, which means problem solving. This is where we start playing like, it's almost like chess, like lyrical chess / musical chess. A lot of times your lyrics aren't going to just sound great out the gate. Like we have to work them. We got to massage them along with the cadences, the musical part, right? So you have to work things from both angles. Sometimes you're having to tweak the cadences. And again, the pillar number 2, scatting and cadences. Scatting helps you improvise and change cadences in many subtle or obvious ways. And that gives you way more flexibility of how you can take a musical idea and build upon it, add stuff to it, or take away from it. And so that helps when you're on pillar number 3, when you're trying to make your lyrics fit the instrumental better. Like in this case, if you have too many lyrics that's being crammed in there, then we would say from an engineering standpoint, maybe I need to rephrase what I'm saying, say the same exact thing, but in fewer words, and that will fix that problem. Or maybe you have room before that part that gets a little bit cramped. Maybe you pause before that and you can eliminate some of that pause and like shift the words over a little bit more to make them fit and not feel so crammed in there. But that's the engineering part of what we're doing. The 4th pillar is the songwriting. This is where most rappers start when they start rapping because they already understand lyrics. They listen to their favorite rap songs. They hear lyrics. They're hearing music, but they don't perceive it as music. The lyrics are music, though. They're musical. That's why they sound good over music, over an instrumental. And so this is where most rappers struggle. That's why if you look at my channel, I put so much emphasis on the musical part of rapping just from coaching people so much throughout the years, I just know that's where most people struggle when they come over. They're usually already really good from a lyrical standpoint. They have a lot more experience writing throughout their life, usually have experience in poetry and stuff like that, rhyming as well. So they understand some literary devices and stuff like that. But the musical part is what's typically lacking. And the fifth and final pillar after songwriting is delivery. That's the acting part of what we do. So it's already been created. We've already worked out all the kinks, all the problems. We got our flow sounding dope, rhyme schemes, literary devices, everything sounding good, but we have to deliver it in a convicting way, an emotional way. We want to move the audience in some type of way. So even though it's been premeditated, we want it to feel like it's happening in the moment. It's live. It's real. It's going down right now. No matter how many times we perform it, we want it to feel like it's the first time it's happening, you know, and that's the fifth and final pillar. So from what I'm hearing with you, where you're struggling it a little bit right here is with maybe pillar number 2, cadences and scatting. I would focus on that. I have a free rap course called 5 Minutes to a Better Rap Flow. I'll post a link in the video description below. It's here on YouTube. It's guided practice. And I also have some practice drills that I've done recently as well, where we're throwing like cadences back and forth to teach you cadences and kind of get you in the habit of like playing around with these different cadences and stuff like that over different instrumentals. So I highly recommend that. And then also from a engineering point of view, that's something also to focus on, is like being mindful of how things are structured as well. Which I think you're doing good as far as like the placement of the rhyme. I'm gonna listen here. I'm still pretty early on in the track, but it sounds like you're doing good with the placement of the rhymes and stuff so far. It's just what's kind of happening in between is not as musical because you're kind of having to cram stuff in there to make it fit. So let's continue listening with all that said.
Galactic rapper, flying high on the radio waves, an extraterrestrial being that possesses a celestial brain. This winning, it got you spinning. I'm grinning ear to ear. Go look at the deck, bitch. Who's it really stacked against here? Sharks count cards, not shuffling and bridging excuses. That goose and juice got you confused about exactly why you losing. Your bar's useless, shit's fake hard. It's all a facade. My knowledge is rooted in scars. That's why I can put on. In it to win it, with crowns to grab. You're just a bitch holding the bag. Slacking instead of rapping, you deserve to be fragged. Verbal shrapnel infallible, these lessons learned invaluable. My existence, attributed to a persistent vision. Fuck recognition, my mission, a head-on collision. So when the walls come down, I'm still the one fucking winning. Drowning the illiterates by resting on their chests. Heavy flows like an overgrown pachyderm on a rampage. Shattering the walls of a self-destructive reflective glass cage. Crusading on a righteous campaign dispatched by sages. Painting fragile brains with bouquets of wordplay. Burying the inferior deep under the crazy house. Drowning all the survivors, that's the first wave's crown.
Okay. As I felt earlier on, I was like, I felt like the stronger part was the lyrical side. As I hear it more, that's even more and more evident. Like your writing skills are off the chain. Like you are really, really strong lyrically. It's just the musical part that's lacking that needs a little bit more love and help to really help those lyrics shine like they deserve. And so, yeah, really, really good on the writing stuff, man. Like you can see my reaction, like listening to it. Like sometimes, like even like with an Eminem or someone, like I'm like, man, sometimes it's cool just cut off the music and just read the words, like read these people's lyrics and hear what they're actually saying. Like that in and of itself is impressive. You know, sometimes that gets lost in the sauce sometimes because we focus too much on like the musical part, like the rhyme schemes and stuff like that. But like the craftsmanship that goes into the expression of what's being said, like the imagery and the picture you're painting in the mind of the listeners, that's a whole nother skill in and of itself, the writing part of being a rapper. And so that sounds very, very solid. So it's just more the musical side. You got to focus on the musical side, focus on improving in that area. And that's going to help you out so much. Focus on scatting, focus on learning more cadences. Again, I'll post links in the video description below to where you can check out the free rap course I'm talking about and some of my other rap drills that I've done of recent. Thanks again, Firecracker, for sharing your music and everybody else who shared their music as well. I encourage y'all keep the discussion, the conversation going in the comment section below. Feel free to interact with each other, collaborate with each other, link up, You know, that's what this is all about. Me giving back to y'all, but also encouraging you guys to continue this conversation and keep spreading this knowledge amongst each other. Y'all know a lot of things as well that y'all can help each other with. Again, links to everyone's music will be in the video description below. And again, if any of y'all need help with getting your song to the finish line, or you want feedback on your stuff, or you want help implementing some of the things that I'm talking about on your songs, make sure that you check out my one-on-one coaching service, link in the video description below. And if you're new here, again, my name is ColeMize with ColeMizeStudios.com, where I strive to make you a better rapper now. And be sure to get yourself a free copy of my ebook, The #1 Fundamental to Rapping, via the link in the video description below. And subscribe to this channel for more straight to the point, no BS, how to rap video tutorials just like this one. And always remember, when it comes to rapping, there's no rules. There's only techniques. Peace. Hey man, you see that subscribe button right there? Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Oh, and don't forget the bell icon. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Hey, I know you see that like button, right? Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. And look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, today I'm gonna kill it.